Today on Rick's Woodworking, we're going to build a sled. This is the kind of sled that you would use to take a hardwood panel that was rough cut and trim it so that it's suitable for joinery. It's going to be made from 3/4 inch plywood, and it's going to be 8 feet long and 12 inches wide. We're going to attach a cleat to the top of it. It's 3 inches wide, and we're going to attach a whole series of hold downs. Our first step is at the table saw. Using the factory edge of the 3/4 inch plywood, I'm going to trim it to 12 inches. It's that factory edge that we're looking for. That's what we're going to use to always support the piece and get that cut. Now for the 3-inch cleat. Again, through the table saw, we've adjusted the fence, and we're going to use a feather board to help everything stick to where it needs to go. Using that offcut as a spacer, I'm going to offset the cleat 3 inches from the factory edge. That'll give us enough room for the hold downs and the handles. Just going to hold this in with some screws, pre-drilling first, and just setting them into place. You'll notice there's a small bow in the cleat. Well, that's normal, and I'm trying to offset the bows. There's a larger one on the 12-inch piece and this smaller one, and doing this will flatten out the piece. With that done, I measure off for where the hold downs go so that they're evenly spaced across the entire sled and hopefully give us consistent pressure. Now I'm just going to mark for the screw holes, 4 screws for these hold downs, and then I'll pre-drill. I'm just using the tip here of the countersink. Don't want to go too far into the wood. Just need to be able to have a place for those screws to go. And I'll set them all the way down the entire sled. Now I'm going to adjust these hold downs. What I ended up doing is taking a piece of 1/2 inch plywood. The ultimate thickness of the pieces that I'm going to work on are a little less than 1 inch, and this should give me enough pressure. And all I'm doing is having the hold down in its lock position and the tip just touch that 1/2 inch plywood. As it turns out, later I had to come back and adjust it because the piece is a little too thick, the final hardwood. But this is a good way to initially set it. Approximately 1/4 inch from the set. Now I'm just going to take a little bit off of these pieces. So I've set my saw to just nibble away. As you can see, the sled is holding everything together. The hold down's doing their job, and I'm using a feather board to put the piece in place. That pushes the factory edge against the fence. And there you have it. Normally you wouldn't do an 8-foot piece, but this mantle is rather large, and so it required a nice long piece of plywood. Hope you enjoyed the video, and watch us next time on Rick's Woodworking.